Hi, welcome to the Pop Filler Podcast. Let's get things going with the mailbag. My name is Philip. Fiona B. asks, what is something good to watch or listen to right before bed? Well, Fiona, if I'm not mistaken, studies show that a solid 30 minutes of screen time before you go to bed will drastically increase your quality of sleep. So I try to watch an hour-long show before I turn in for the night. Twice as long as 30 minutes, twice as good, right? I usually prefer watching something a little scary or suspenseful, so that I can get my heart rate up and my blood pumping a little faster. That way, once I am trying to fall asleep, I can employ little mental tactics to start calming myself back down. For instance, I'll pretend that I'm endlessly falling and falling into a milky white void until gravity itself starts to dissipate. At this point, I can't tell if I'm falling or floating, and I accept the fact that I have absolutely no agency over where my body is going. Resigned to accept my fate, I begin to relax. Only then do I fall into a dreamless sleep, and usually wake with a jump about 45 minutes later, ready to start my day. What about you all? What do you watch or listen to before bed? This isn't a mailbag submission, but there's something I'd like to say. I hate acronyms. By design, they isolate people instead of bringing them together. Do you know what this string of letters stands for? If you do, then I guess you're one cool gilf. If you don't, then you're SOL, the Spanish sun. Well, as far as I'm concerned, all acronyms stand for the same thing, and that is, you're either in the club or you're not. That said, here are some of my favorites. SCUBA, that's self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. NOAA, that stands for National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. FDA, that's food, drugs, apples. SPF, it's sun protection factor. NASA stands for Pushing the Limits of Science and Technology in the Pursuit of Traveling Through Time. Roy G. Biv, he's just an old friend of mine. HPV, another old friend. NATO, it's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. ATM machine stands for Automated Teller Machine. KISS, that's Keep It Simple, Stupid. HUG, that's Hold Up, Gross Face. And finally, GTFO, which stands for Great Minds Think Alike. Dear Diarrhea, earlier at work, I tried reading the wall clock using the reflection in my computer monitor. I was only absent-mindedly trying it first, and found it certainly not impossible, but more difficult than I feel comfortable admitting. I had no problem mentally flipping where the hour hand was, but processing where the minute hand was actually positioned presented a steeper challenge for some reason. It was ridiculous. The external monitor I was using to view the reflection has deep, rich blacks, which made the image of the clock very crisp. It made me think about how having access to nice things doesn't make me any smarter or better at solving puzzles, as if reading the reflection of a clock is a puzzle. Well, I guess it is for me because this time I did find it puzzling. Sincerely, Philip. P.S. Diarrhea, the time was 1:45. Ben R. writes, I haven't heard your take on blankets and masks. What did you think? Hi, Ben. Yeah, you're right. I haven't really said anything about it. I guess I don't like when it feels like you have to pick a defined side on a movie, but blankets and masks has certainly turned into one of these situations. I'll just say my piece really quickly and kind of move on from it forever. I would classify this movie, at the end of the day, as righteous anger porn. It's really just wall-to-wall soapboxing, with a dotted line plot barely keeping it cohesive. I'll admit some of it has some immediate gratification, namely when Rhonda Petrie lets loose on any of the perfectly strung together insults she's always got on the tip of her tongue. But once the dust settles from any of these mini diatribes, then we're still left with a story that has yet to be fleshed out, and without any real progress or growth on any of the characters' parts. And story aside, the dialogue is uniformly too stylized to let any real emotion through, even amidst Pat Dixon's performance, who's typically like an automatic empathy generator. I think a movie can appear grounded and honest and brutal through the things being put in its actors' mouths, but it won't ever feel real to me no matter how much everyone speaks as if they're dropping nickels in the folksy adage jukebox. I think the takeaway here should be that catchy dialogue feels good, but it will just about never feel real. Okay, lastly, it's time for another household tip. These days, it seems like there's always another holiday just around the corner, and each comes with its own traditions and pageantry. And I don't know if you've noticed, but more and more people celebrate these holidays by setting out decorations that they feel they need to own and display. Now, this can create a storage dilemma. Where do you keep all of these decorations, and how do you organize them all? I like to take a seasonal cycling approach. For instance, I like to store Halloween items like glitter pumpkins and skeleton heads, aka skulls, so they're easier to get to than Christmas decorations, since chronologically I'll be needing to get them first. BT-dubs, aka one of my least favorite acronyms, stands for also known as. BTW stands for Back Till Wednesday. Anyway, then once Halloween is over, put those decorations in deeper storage and pull Christmas closer to the forefront so those decorations will be easier to access in 2 days when you start putting them up on November 3rd. Now maybe the holidays I just listed don't interest you or have anything to do with you, or maybe you don't have decorations for those. Apply these general ideas to your own holidays and decorations. Now, as a broad exception, I would say, if you have any Arbor Day paraphernalia, be sure to account for any special care requirements, such as sunlight and water. I think you've got the idea here, but here's the tip. Map out the holidays you celebrate and organize accordingly where and how their decorations are stored. Okay, that's the end of another Pop Filler. Thanks for listening, and remember, you'll be fine.